Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Sunday edition of Andy the Gabby Cabby, our regular Sunday natter. And I hope everyone is okay this evening. I'll tell you what, I walked from the house to the garage and I got absolutely rained on. It's like a freak rain shower between here and there. So I had the thing over my head, the laptop under the hood, and yes, I look a right state, but never mind. We got here in the end. We start at 9 o'clock. I think I walked in and sat down by about 5:02, so I was cutting it a bit fine. There's lots of people in the chat. A lot of people saying Happy Easter, Happy Guinness Egg Day, people, Kirky Bailey. Love it. Absolutely wonderful. Yes, before we go any further into proceedings, got my little picture here. Just want to say Happy Easter to all of you. I hope you've had a wonderful day. We've obviously got the weekend it's a bank holiday weekend, isn't it? No one's at work or anything tomorrow, and I hope you're all having a wonderful time. I had to go to Reading earlier on. There's a friend of mine whose son got married over the weekend, and I took them all there Friday, where went to get them today, and it looks like the wedding went off without a hitch. There was some lovely weather, and it all went very well indeed. Ryan, hello to you, my friend. Good to see you in the chat, and I hope everything's all right with you. Ryan's not long moved, so I hope he's settling into his new home all right. Let's see who else is around. Hello, Angela. Good to see you, and I hope you're well. Blue Angels in the house, along with Stuart Hawes. Good to see you. Lord Jim Dandy, Cosmic War Toad, Reform BBC, another regular. Out and about with Richie T. Good to see you. Michael Hancock. Good to see you. Minge Pump. And loads of the regulars. Anne-Marie Knight, another regular of mine. Good to see you as well. Mark and Janice. Kirky Bailey. Ian Williamson. Julie Baldwin. Good to see you. And thank you for the couple of links you sent me over the last few days. They've been very interesting. I'll explain one of those in a minute. Somebody's got a screen name, WTF. Michael Morland, Barry, good to see you. Is that Bryn Jones? Good to see you as well. Kate Caller, Jean-Marc, Chris. Yes, this is excellent. Loads and loads of people in. Wonderful to see everybody. And if I've missed anybody off the hello list, I do apologise, but I'm sure we will get to you eventually. Now, own up. Who's had Easter eggs? Give me a 1 in the chat if you've been scoffing on the Easter eggs. I want honesty here. Who's been an Easter egg? My mate Paz, he reckons there was 10 Easter eggs sitting on the table. 1. Well, at least there's somebody. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. 1. Paz 49 legend. Absolutely, he's a good man, Paz. Spoke to him yesterday, actually, on the phone. And a few 2s. So some of you have got Easter eggs, and some of you haven't. Well, a few days ago, there was this thing in the news where they were talking about Easter eggs. Did anybody see it where they were talking about gesture eggs, where they called it a gesture egg rather than an Easter egg? Did anyone see that? Let me know. It's another load of old woke nonsensory. Paul J, bacon butties all round. I had hot crust buns this morning. That was very nice. I had it round my father's, and I ended up diving in with that. So all good. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. As a couple of you did. A diversity egg. Anne-Marie saw it. Yeah, absolutely. All in the name of diversity. How does a rabbit crap out of chocolate egg anyway? I do not know. I suppose it'd be full of Smarties if there was a problem, wouldn't it? Yes, I saw that. If it's labelled gesture, I won't buy. So some of you saw it. Well, here we have an Easter egg. I'm not a sponsor for Cadbury's, so do that. It's just one I nicked out the cupboard. Cadbury's twirl. And when I look on the back, when I look on the sides, I don't know if you can see that. Your Easter egg has been made with Cadbury's Dairy Milk. So it says Easter egg. So Cadbury's themselves are actually chucking them out still as Easter eggs. Now, when I looked into this gesture egg thing, and again, it's hi, Mum, good to see you. When I look into this gesture egg thing, it seems to be the mainstream media stirring the shit again. They all do it. Cream egg with a double yolk. Absolutely, that'd be nice, wouldn't it, Lord Jim Dandy? I think Cadbury's cream eggs, I love them. They're about that big, and one mouthful. Beautiful. Right. Yes. Gesture eggs. The mainstream media seem to have got hold of this and stirred it up into a right old pot. Now, I had a look into this earlier. I came across this. According to the spokesperson, the poster was allegedly displayed inside a Cadbury's outlet store in Spalding, Lincolnshire. The individual store supposedly created the gesture eggs promotion without Cadbury's involvement. It did not reflect a widespread marketing initiative by the company. Telegraph reporter Connor James Ibbotson reportedly took the photo of the poster, so the Telegraph. Snopes reached out to Ibbotson and the company that oversee the outlet store, and will update the news article when they hear back. So it's still a story in progress. And what actually happened? I think it was quite heavily trending. There was something like 1 million different social media posts on it. And it's mad what gets people into a frenzy. I mean, again, you can see Easter egg. I've got 4 more in the house, and they all say the same thing. Now I bought this one out in the garage. I might hide it. Rebrand Snickers back to Marathon and Starburst back to April Fruits. Yeah, I'd agree with that. I saw a wonderful competition the other day, and they had all of the sweet wrappers, and it was like, could you remember what these used to be called? And we were going through thinking from our childhood what they used to be called. So yeah, great stuff. I used to work at the Cadbury factory in the olden days. Yorkshire Pud says, is that the Cadbury factory up near like Birmingham way? We went there when I think I was in my late teens when we went there. It's absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Angela Gardner. I lived near Cadbury's. Yeah, and there was loads of like broken chocolate and stuff. Hi, Uncle Gary. Good to see you in the chat. Bring back topic. Yeah, I remember those too. I actually managed to see my uncle, Gary, in the last couple of weeks. I dropped my family up at Peterborough so I could go to a family wedding. And then I nipped an hour down south to go and see my uncle. Went out for some lunch in town. It was very nice to catch up with him. So absolutely great stuff. I'm going on another road trip tomorrow with my mother, Jean Whitehead, Avon representative. She's getting a new dog. And tomorrow's the day that we're all going up there to, do the business, go and get the dog. So that will be great. Easter bonnets at school. Yeah, remember them, Andy. I can't remember whether I had to wear one of the damn things or not. But there we are. Right, couple of personal things I just want to share with you. One of them's very personal, and one of them's to do with a mate of mine. And, hope you can help us out with these. Before I do, thank you very much for joining us this evening. Make sure you hit the like button. If you've got social media, share this around. It certainly helps build the channel and pushes the subscriptions and everything else up and shares Andy the Gabby Cabby about. A couple of years ago, well, it'd be 2 years in June, I lost a very good friend of mine to cancer. It all happened very quickly. He was diagnosed, or I found out what was going on around the December time, and by the June he was gone. It was like so fast. One of the things that we were very grateful of was the care that he received from the Pilgrim's Hospice. Now, his son Peter is doing a fundraiser. He's doing a charity bike ride to raise money for the actual hospice that looked after his dad, Kev, my friend. I put the link below here, Just Giving page, Pete Griggs, Pilgrims 2024. I had a check up on this, I think it was yesterday, and he is doing fantastically well. I just wanted to share the results with you. You can see here he's raised £985 so far. Now, originally the target was 1,000. So, you know, £985, that's, you know, 98.5% of the way there. And it's suddenly gone up to 2,500. So I don't know whether that's a stretch goal or it's something that he's manually done, but he plans on doing a large bike ride, you know, in honor of his dad, and hopefully raise all that money, because the pilgrims, they don't get the help off the government. You know, they have to do all the fundraising themselves, and sometimes they can be very limited as to their resources. It really is a sad state of affairs with such a vital service that's needed. Now, what I would ask all of you to do, if you can, if I put the link in the chat, could you please share it? Because what I'd dearly love to do is get some traction to this fundraiser and try and tip him over at least 1,000. And Jean-Marc quite rightly says it is doable to get up to 2,500. I believe it is. I believe it is. You know, there was my friend. I've lost family to it. It's an awful thing that seemingly will never be cured, or they seem to, well, drag their heels with regard to curing it. Yeah, but what's important is the care that they receive, and more importantly, well, just as important, the family that are affected by it as well. So it's a thing that needs supporting. What concerns me with charities, though, in the main, is the amount of money that the chief executives actually are on. And there's certain charities where some of them are on something like 200 grand a year or something daft like that, and you have to wonder how much of the money they raise goes towards where it's meant to. Okay, the other fundraiser I want to mention is something a little bit more legal rather than charitable. As you know, I'm very good friends with Russ, Absolutely Average, you will know him as. And for the past year, he's had a very major problem where he's been the object of some very undesirable behavior from a group of people online, none of which I'm mentioning because, quite frankly, I don't give a... But, you know, it's got to the point where it's gone beyond simple internet trolling. And one thing was said too much one day, and Russ finally went, "That's it, I'm done with this." So he decided he's going to seek a legal remedy to this situation. And unfortunately, when you try to seek a legal remedy, depending on your circumstances, you know, it becomes very expensive. It's always best to try and have insurances in place, which provide you with a certain amount of legal cover. Particularly if you're in this kind of environment, it's very good to put that insurance in place, as I well know from personal experience. But in Russ's case, you need to have, you know, this fundraiser to be able to do what you want to do. Now, what he's actually achieved so far, and I want to put it on the screen. Here it is. And again, I'll share the link for it as well. You can see that he's raised so far £1,790, which again is good going. And there's the link to the fundraiser there. Now, I will obviously put that in the chat too. Now, on that fundraising page, it tells you everything. What has been going on. You know, we don't want drama or anything like that on our channels, but because that's not what you're here for. But at the end of the day, he's a genuine guy with a genuine problem, and genuinely needs help. So again, could I ask, if you're able to and you have that social media presence, this is another fundraiser. Hashtag Stand with Russ. I love that. I absolutely love that. We need to get that trending, don't we? Yeah, I ask you yet again that if you have the means from a social media point of view, please can you share Russ's fundraiser with your circle? And again, I'll put this in the chat so you've got the link there. And I'm sure Russ will, be appreciative of any help you can give. I mean, if you can donate, then, even better. But as Russ says himself, do not donate if it's going to put you on a sticky wicket. Just simply share it about. He's put a target of 15,000, but legal fees will go more than that. At least that's, a start, and he can get somewhere. So I can see some good support for us in the chat there. So that's great. And he's usually a regular with our live streams. Talking of unwanted attention, just a bit of inject a bit of humor into it. What I've come to learn over time, when you get emails from people that you quite simply don't want and have no interest in, or where you get unwanted attention from individuals you have no interest in, it's usually best to ignore them. And generally I do, and it's best kept in that box where it belongs. One of the things that you can have trouble with is spam calls to your mobile phone. I get them all the time. Basically, the rule of thumb is, if I don't recognise the number, I'm not answering. I'm not answering the thing. You have to stand up to bullies. That's absolutely correct. Now, I saw a humorous video online earlier about how you deal with spam calls. Have a look at this. Could you imagine being at the receiving end of that, a calendar over the phone, and giving it a damn good bashing? Yes, that would be quite a din and make that person hang up really quick. I really like the sound of that. Well, I don't like the sound of that, neither would anybody else being on the receiving end of it, but it did look quite good. So, you can. Somebody said stand up to bullies just then. I forget who said it, but I read a thing online because I'm involved in that's it, Pure Salvation 2009. Thank you, Blood. I'm involved in an organisation outside of work and everything else that has a contingent of children. Basically, one of the things that we do, as well as look after ourselves, is teach the children to look after themselves and provide them with the skill and the knowledge and the expertise to be able to do this thing. As part of that, an anti-bullying statement is released by the organisation, where we stand with regard to children getting bullied. And you're absolutely right. Bullying should not be tolerated. I was bullied as a child for, several years. And in the end, I snapped and I gave the bully a piece of my mind. Well, nowadays, it appears that if you have a child at school and they're bullied, the school, on occasion, can side with the victim rather than the bully, and they can get in trouble. And I read a statement the other day to that effect. The child was getting in trouble for standing up for themselves. I thought it was absolutely disgusting, personally. But I've always encouraged my children, if you have a problem with another child, it doesn't matter, how big they are, give them what for. And if there's a problem with that, come and speak to me about it. That's a message to the teacher. And, anybody that's got a child of that age, I do, highly encourage, teach them to stick up for themselves and those around them, and we might live in a better place. That's why I, will support people to my dying breath when I think that they are being wronged. They will get my support and my friendship, and that will never waver. Anyway, enough of that. This is another thing I saw, which I absolutely scoffed at. Before I show you this, can I have a show of hands in the chat? From a nationality point of view, do you identify yourself as British? Give me a 1 if you do, or or a 2 if you don't. So if you define yourself as British, give me a 1 if you do and a 2 if you don't. That's what I'm interested in. Personally, I don't identify myself as British. I identify myself as English. And there's a distinct difference. There's a bit of a mixture of 1s and 2s. A lot of people identify themselves as British, and some identify themselves as other, and got some English people in here. English, yeah. I am European, sorry. No need to apologise, Jean-Marc. That's absolutely fine. This question's really to people in our land, really, I suppose. Common law suggests we should identify as English. Yeah. I mean, when you look at Great Britain or where you look at the United Kingdom, both of which are somewhat of a fallacy, really. Great Britain or United Kingdom is a political union made up of separate countries: Scotland, England, Wales, and Northern Ireland. So if you're Scotland, if you live in Scotland, number one, I feel sorry for you. Reading what I do in the news, you're Scottish. If you're from England, you're English. If you're from Wales, you're Welsh. If you're from Northern Ireland, you're Northern Irish. That's the way we should identify. And we're all in this political union known as the United Kingdom. Well, we should have pride in our national flag, no matter where we're from, because it's part of our identity. It's part of what makes us who we are. But what happens these days, depending on what flag we look at and what flag we identify with, we're labelled in a certain way. Now, I found this very disturbing, that this is even mentioned. This was actually on GB News, of all things. Poll of the day: is the Union flag a symbol of the far right? So they're taking the flag that represents our union of countries, and they're suggesting that anybody that pays any heed to that is far right. Now, if you identify with the Union flag, would you consider yourself far right? Give me a 1 if you do, or a 2 if you don't. And again, this is the mainstream media stirring up dissent, stirring up trouble. Why do they do this? Because it plants that seed of thought in everybody's head. All the while they stoke division. So much the better. Loads of 2s, loads of 2s. So, that reaction alone from the chat shows us that why ask the question? It's a pointless question. And again, it just serves to cause more division within our societies. It's not great. Not great. Next thing. Who in the chat owns an electric car or a hybrid? Does anybody? Or don't you want to say? That's equally fine as well. See if any of these come through. Does anybody own an electric car? Nope, 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 nope. No, 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 no. I love that comment. Hybrid. A lot of you don't. Hybrid. I keep getting asked the question, would I go electric with the taxiing? And I said, well, no, for three reasons: the price, the range, and also some of the things that I'm reading with regard to safety. The safety aspect of things. I saw this, which sends an alarm bell, and I thank my mate Johnny for sending me the article on this. Crews bracing themselves for a rise in electric car fires. Now, there's been a couple of stonky ones lately, and one of the main issues with these car fires is the length of time it takes for them to be put out again. Now, I'll go over this news article. Station manager Terry Mayer has recently taken on a new role within the fire service. This is Essex Fire and Rescue Service. A hazardous material expert, he is now the service's lead officer on tackling lithium-ion battery fires. His new responsibility comes as the number of electric vehicles in the UK roads has hit more than 1 million, and it's rising very fast. While Mr. Meyer stresses EV fires are rare, they pose a challenge quite unlike a conventionally fueled vehicle fire. The batteries, if they are the source of the fire, are often hard to reach, he says, and the EV fires can create directional jet flames and vapor cloud explosions. So there's an issue right there. EV fires also create a variety of toxicity, both in the air and in the water runoff, if firefighters use hoses to keep the flames in check. Our preferred approach is to let them burn themselves out. Not all recovery companies will take damaged cars away, either because they're concerned about handling a burned EV or because they do not have the right recovery vehicles. In one incident last year involving a Tesla, police and firefighters had to wait more than 4 hours for a specialist recovery vehicle to arrive. Electric cars are also known to reignite up to 2 or 3 weeks after the initial fire, meaning they have to be quarantined. Now, I've actually heard of situations where they're put in a cargo container and submerged into a body of water for a period of time to ensure that there's no reignition. So this continues. Dealing with a petrol or diesel car fire would normally take about 30 minutes. With an EV fire, we're looking at 4 or 5 hours or longer if we've used water. As more and more people use electric vehicles, we can expect more and more electric vehicle fires. What exactly this means for the fire service is unclear, however, not least because of the paucity of available data. When asked, every fire service in the UK how many EV fires they've dealt with in the past 3 years, none could provide a reliable answer because they do not distinguish between them from other types of vehicle fires. Instead, some fire services, such as those in Norfolk, Essex, Surrey, Derbyshire and Kent, ran text searches for any reference to the word electric in their vehicle fire records. The results of those searches showed that there were 59 electrical fires referenced in 2022 and 2023, which was up from 30 from the previous year. The true figure is likely to be double. The Essex Fire Service has started recording all lithium battery fires by type so they can better understand the issues they pose and help to plan for the future. I mean, there's been some nasty incidents. One of the things recently was the Luton Airport issue. And I'm led to understand, people still debate this even now after all this time. But I'm led to understand from reading the reports, the initial source of ignition apparently wasn't an electric vehicle, but there were electric vehicles involved because, I've proven it myself walking around airport car parks. There's no segregation between electric and non-electric. They're all in the same areas. And if a non-electric goes up near an electric one, poof, you're looking at bad trouble. Ian Gillespie, battery fires are a chemical reaction, so can't be put out by extinguishing oxygen. I'm assuming there's foam and powder and other sorts of things. Rishi, lithium in the batteries is an alkali metal, explodes on contact with air and water. So what you're saying then is if there's any kind of weakness in the battery compartment, and if they're compromised at all, boom, you know, are they vacuum sealed or anything like that? Who knows? But you know, very very worrying, and they need a mechanism by you know, way of dealing with this very quickly. Onto the channel now, very briefly, and then another story after that. We'll go through some of your comments. Okay, so we know this big political football, which is the channel crossings, migration. There's a thing there. People smugglers condemned as stupidly dangerous as 9 migrant boats launched in treacherous weather. Now, the weather down this way hasn't been so bad over the last couple of 3 days. It's been all right. But criminal people smugglers have been branded dangerously stupid by maritime experts after launching at least 9 small boats into the English Channel in bad weather conditions. Almost 400 migrants have illegally crossed the Channel in 9 small boats this Easter Sunday. A total of 735 people crossed in 16 small boats since Saturday morning. So the rate they're coming over, crying out loud, it's ridiculous. Now, I was sent, and 400 alone today. I was sent a link by Julie Baldwin, and I thank her for that. It was an interview that Patrick Christie's did with Robert Jenrick, and it was all about issues involving crime and issues involving immigration. And one of the very glaring facts that come out of that, and I release a video on this tomorrow just talking about it, is the fact that when the Prime Minister was asked to discuss it, it's very dismissive. You know, I don't want to talk about this. I'm not interested. Go away. Let's mention something else. This is the kind of leadership we have in our country when they should be worried about our welfare, our safety. Then, you know, not interested. And it is a very, very big issue. Not least, who are they? Where have they come from? What do they really want when they get here? And what's going on? There's certain things, if you really look at the situation, it's quite frightening. Quite frightening. Now, the last article is about the TV license. And then we'll have a look at some of your comments. Before I show you this, again, welcome everybody tonight who's joined Andy the Gabby Cabby with our regular chat. Got a nice number of people in again, about 230. If you haven't done so already, please hit the like button. That does help this chat get spread around the YouTube airwaves. And if you've got social media and you're connected at all, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, anything like that, I'd appreciate you sharing this with your friends, your family, and that will help spread the word of me and our community that we've built up here as well. I appreciate it very much. And if you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe. I want to get near that 80,000 mark. That'd be great. Right, the BBC TV license. Now, let's pull this up. TV license fee to raise by 11.50 within hours. Now, we've had that in the pipeline for a while. Now, what concerned me was this, £1,000 fine if you don't pay. They seem to be getting a bit desperate with regard to their enforcement. We can see from April the 1st, fittingly April Fool's Day, it's going up to £169.50 a year. And price of a black and white TV license increasing by £3.50. Surely there's not such a thing as a black and white TV anymore. I've not seen one for a long, long time. Confirmed by the Culture Secretary, Lucy Fraser, in December last year. £10.50 hike would be felt by households. And, you know, there's more about it there. So that price rise is incoming. If you're caught watching TV without a TV license, then you may be fined £1,000 or be taken to court. The maximum fine is £2,000 if you're in Guernsey. So I think in their desperation to actually. Well, yeah, I've gone black. What's going on here? I've dis. Can anybody hear me and see me still? Because my screen has gone completely black. I'm getting a thumbs up from Bloodnose. You can hear me but not see me. Okay, right. I'm just going to refresh the page. It's when I close that last window, it kind of froze up on me. All right, bear with me. I'll be back. There you go. Am I back now? Let me know. Follow the light. That's never happened before. Play some cheesy music. Come back to the light. Well, I can see myself. Yeah, I'm back. Yes, back. Wonderful. Yeah. Well, that teach me, won't it? Don't talk about the BBC anymore, and I might actually stay. I've had some gremlins before with StreamYard, but I don't think I've ever had a gremlin like that. But we learn by doing. Right. Let's have a look at some of your comments, because at the end of the day, you're the ones that are here and your input is important. So let's see what you've got to say. Okay. Cosmic War Toad. If there's any reduced Easter chocolate on the Coe's shelves when I go back on Tuesday, I'm having some. I've still got 2 boxes of reduced orange matchmakers from the Christmas stock left. I love orange matchmakers. I love mint matchmakers. In fact, I love matchmakers. Absolutely delicious. I could devour a box of them in seconds. Michael Hancock. Hi all. Wouldn't surprise me if coppers are wearing... Yeah, it's definitely a 2-tier policing system going on in this country, isn't there? Particularly in the city, where certain crowds are treated differently to others. And when you've got this bill that's getting pushed through in Scotland, where apparently the idea of free speech might be curtailed, that isn't a great thing either. Very, very concerning times. I mean, YouTube, for example, you have to watch what you say sometimes on here, but there are ways around it. There are always ways around it. Mark and Janice, Castletown Council in Rochdale have just put cycle lanes in the main high street. No consultation. The businesses on the street have lost 50%. Nobody's seen a bike. Mad ideology. Have they literally done no consultation at all, or have they claimed to have done so? And it turns out they haven't, because legally they've got to. And even if they do a consultation, more often than not, the amount of people they consult don't really have a reflection on the true wishes of who lives there. Nuts. Anyone else think that Lindt chocolate tastes funny? Depends on what I think. I don't eat Lindt really. I've had it, but yeah, I see where you're going with that one. Ian Gillespie. Cadbury's now run by a US conglomerate based in Bourneville, Brum. I live nearby. The Labour-run council is trying desperately to create a 15-minute city there, as they have in Kings Heath and Lozells. Ian, I tell you what, I bang on about Labour until I'm blue in the face, because they're deploying the same old line before an election. A vote for anything else will put Labour in power, as if that's some kind of veiled threat. Now, if Labour in their current form get into power, this country is fucked, to be quite blunt. I'm sorry to say that, but I can't get any blunter than that. It's some of these green initiatives. I mean, I talked about the Labour prospective parliamentary candidate that wants to get in here, and you look at her, well, effectively manifesto that she throws around, mentions green a lot. We want jobs, we want stability, we want safe streets, we want everything else. We want our bills to be affordable. These are various things. We want a government that's going to act in our best interests. And it's quite obvious now that the red and the blue are no longer capable of doing that, and they haven't done so for a long time. It needs to end. Something else needs to come in, and we know what. Andy, oh well, look at your picture. How's the scaffolder doing with the ULEZ court case, Andy? There is something going on with that. I had a message from him the other day saying that TfL have gone a little bit quiet with something he's done. Now, the problem is, if he achieves what he's trying to achieve, TfL are in a lot of trouble. So they're basically kicking off, trying every mean, dirty trick in the book to try and extract themselves from any kind of trouble. Now, I get updates from Noel, the scaffolder, pretty much all the time. I had a message from him the other day. But the problem is, what you want is hard, clear facts about progress, about an update. And if I go on and say, well, I heard from Noel and he said this, that's not good enough. So I ain't saying anything until I've got something solid to give to you or his permission. But it's taking a long, long time because TfL quite simply wouldn't survive what's coming if Noel gets his own way. I can't go any further than that, I'm afraid. But thank you for the question. The big C won't be cured while there's more money in treating it. Big Pharma prefer to treat symptoms and look for cures. I think that's the same in society in general, really, isn't it? They always treat the symptom rather than cure the problem. But you're right, absolutely right. The fact that people have to, in some cases, rely on charities like food banks is just sad. It's the situations we leave ourselves in, the price of goods, employment, what we're paid, the rising costs. It's you can get in a problem, can't you? You can get in a problem. Cosmic War Toad, never mind Britain getting involved in the USA's wars. The money be better spent on yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's people that need that help. There's people that need that help here. And how many millions of pounds being thrown away every single week almost on vanity projects and other things that are, we get China in the news an awful lot and we still give billions to them. And now we're calling them the possible enemy. So it doesn't make sense anymore. Dark, in some cases, getting treatment is a postcode lotto. Yeah, and it can take some time. I mentioned my friend Kev earlier. They actually commenced treatment with him very quickly. I mean, what he had, it was here, the esophagus, and one of the worst kinds you can get. And unfortunately, too little, too late. It was, awful. Next comment. Yorkshire Pud, do you think this eclipse that's coming will cause shit to kick off? I have no idea. I have no idea when it's going to be. I really don't. Jean-Marc, can anyone tell me why G4S are building police stations in the UK and have security at them? I'd love to know that. I saw a thing the other day, Susan Hall, with her electoral campaign. She was outside closed police stations, and I had an email telling me that, when the Met Police go on shift, they can be about 3,000 officers short most times. So building more police stations, how about open what was shut and recruit more officers? But the basis of your question, I think there is something dodgy going on, definitely. Michael Hancock, any charity who advertise on MSN also don't support. Yeah, how much does it cost to do that? I know what you mean. Mark and Janice, my grandson celebrating Eid at school, but was told he could not bring in any reference to St. George or the English flag on St. George's Day. Again, we're being vilified for, identifying with our own nationality, our own identity. And apparently you're labelled far right for doing so. Nuts. Hello, Mick. Why haven't politicians got electric cars? Very good point, Nat. Maybe they know something we don't. You've got a good point. Richie, how many house fires started by rechargeable hoovers? Batteries explode. That's a good question. Do you know the answer? I would love to know. Lord Jim Dandy, only good for 15-minute cities. Yeah, the 15-minute cities thing, I haven't actually looked into a great deal lately. It's been a bit quiet with that regard. And there's a little bit of deniability as well, where they're saying, "Oh, you know, we're not really thinking of doing that. Turn a blind eye, turn the other cheek." Makes you wonder, doesn't it? Richie, Travel Lodge by me is only taking very limited bookings from the public over the Easter period because it's 80% full of illegals. Yeah, still going on. They say in the news that they're returning these places back to public use, but how many, how quick, and where are they putting them instead? Nobody's fooled anymore. That's the main thing. Michael Hancock, Army saying relaxing rules on beards. That's handy. Seeing all, yeah. I did a video on this, which is coming out tomorrow. Yes, I'm a little bit late to the party with that, but you do have to wonder. I mean, I've seen a couple of ex-military YouTubers who actually say one of the important reasons for being clean-shaven is when you've got respirator equipment or gas masks, you need that tight seal around the face. If you have a beard, you no longer have that tight seal around the face, and all the nasties can get in. But they're pandering, they're lowering standards, and they don't have the numbers they once did. Banned again. Civil service has been taken over by the lefties. The Home Office is gone, massive migration, and poxed up police force. Not wrong there. I think the whole government establishment in its entirety has probably been taken over by the very same. Jean-Marc, new tax year for you guys from April the 1st. Well, with our tax returns, it's a couple of 3 days later. But I have a guy that sorts it out for me. Tony Tasker, my TV identifies as a microwave. I don't need a license. Yeah, brilliant. I mean, there's so many people that I read that are cancelling their licenses. Says it all, doesn't it? Says it all. And Reform BBC, my friend in the chat right now, is very much into that. How many illegals have bought a TV license? Well, they either don't have one, or they don't need one, or they've probably been given one free of charge at our expense. You know how backwards this country is. Wonder if all Cadbury's gesture eggs got sold. Easter egg. We call them Easter eggs. Yorkshire Pud, who would have thought? Yeah, absolutely. I know what you mean. This country's going nuts. Mr. Mensa, Hershey's, the US crap, tastes funny. I had a Hershey bar once. There's a garage around the corner from me who's got a load of America. Well, you call it candy in America, don't you? Candy. I had a Hershey bar, and I thought, bit different. Mick, useless. Had all his windows smashed today. Reform BBC. Hi, Andy. No one will get fined anymore in the UK if they know what to do. All of the details on my channel. Yes, go over to Reform BBC if you have any concerns with regard to the TV license, because he's very much into this, very much into investigating what's going on and exposing the filth. Look at the state of Wales. That's what Labour turns places to. Turd towns. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you look at Paz, Welshman, and, he'll tell you about Wales. I think he's still got family there. It really is not great. You look at all the speed limits and all the other measures. Richie, voting is pointless now. There's no political solution to the mess we're all in. If you don't vote, you give them tacit agreement to carry on as they are. So rather than not vote, come out and say you're not happy with what you've got in front of them. I do not consent. If everyone in the country did that, if they weren't happy, it would send a very clear message. Bryn Jones lost a few fillings with curly whirlies. I didn't lose one with a curly whirly. I think it was a Starburst, actually. I remember chewing on it, and it was very nice. And all of a sudden, I felt this hard lump. And I had a look, and it pulled the filling out of my tooth. Unfortunately, it was one that cracked all the way down to the root, and I had to have the poor sod ripped out. Get Khan out. Pure Salvation says, I hope that happens. Now, unfortunately, people are going around and saying vote for Susan Hall. It's the only way of getting Khan out. What they're saying is vote for Susan Hall to keep it between the blue and the red. We can't have that anymore. And, you know, people like Howard Cox and others need a shot. I mean, you know what happened to Lawrence Fox? Oh, you filled your paperwork in wrong, so you're not eligible to stand and, you know, be counted anymore. What kind of democracy is that, I wonder? I have to see what happens at the beginning of May. Need more bat boxes. I think that was an ingenious idea, Mick. Putting protected bat boxes over ULEZ cameras. According to the media, they can't touch them. Pretty cool. Sounding snuffly, Andy Ryan says, yeah, I've noticed that lately where I haven't got a cold or anything like that. Where I talk for about half an hour, my throat starts drying up. I mean, when I did the interview with Peter Wilson last week, that was great because it was broken up a bit. And with two-handers, I don't have to talk as much as I would do otherwise, but it's just a strain on the old voice box. Yeah, Pure Salvation. I agree with that. Absolutely. Cans, it can be a coincidence that the main political groups are completely ignoring the obvious problems our country faces. The bulk of the British public have been sidelined. Yeah, absolutely. I see people say again and again, it's all by design. It's all being led down a certain path because they want it to be. They're approaching an end goal. 6079 Smith Winston, cheaper to buy gadgets shipped from China than to buy fish and chips at the local chippy. It's getting that way, isn't it? Do you remember the 99p sausage special? You could get, battered sausage and a reasonable portion of chips. Those days are gone. Those days are really gone. Cosmic Water, the Chinese community aren't my enemy, and I don't have any reason to suspect the family that own the local Chinese chippy. I had a curry a couple of days ago from the Chinese down the bottom of the road. Lovely people. So I know what you mean. Pure Salvation. Andy, what is the latest on the child maintenance service scam? What we're finding now is that people ending up in court. I've seen a couple of occurrences of this where the judge is actually siding with the person that they're trying to get a liability order on and saying, hang on a minute, child maintenance service, I don't agree with what you've put in front of me, or you can't proceed with, the lack of information. Bugger off, get your proof and come back. I mean, there was somebody that got evicted from their house and it had to be given back because they'd cocked up. And really, we're in a period of exposure, exposing all these malpractices, getting them to admit they're wrong, getting them to admit that there's a problem, and more importantly, getting them to admit that these fictional arrears are not owed by anybody. That's where we are. There was a wonderful piece that Noel Wilcox, I think Anne Widdecombe and Richard Tice did on GB News. It was to do with how members of the military, both past and present, are affected by this as well. Can you imagine all that combat stress and everything else, and then they come back and then they have child maintenance issues as well. Was Brexit a lie? Rod said. Well, personally, I don't think it happened, or it's a half-baked effort, one of the two. I mean, I've never understood how one country or one union, i.e., us, could get themselves so entangled with something else that 50 years after the fact, 50, 60 years after the fact, it's nigh on impossible to escape from it. It don't add up in my mind. And was all that predetermined all that time ago? Clown World YT, yo, evening Andy and all. Good evening, my friend. Another good YouTuber to go and subscribe to. He's doing well, getting good views, good coverage, everything else. Lord Jim Dandy, we should all fly the flag on St. George's Day. I did a video, days ago where I was talking about Emily Thornberry, where she got caught out, where it was mentioned about the time she chastised someone for flying the St. George's flag outside her house. It didn't go down too well, did it? 11 more likes needed to reach 200. Yes, please, folks. We got 243 in the chat. So if you are of mind, please hit the like button. Let's get it to the 200 mark. There's only 11 needed. Ban all hotels that previously housed illegals. Well, I'm seeing more now that some hoteliers are saying being offered hundreds of thousands of pounds to do this, and they're not doing it. They're saying, no, we'd rather do, be what we were here for, which is great. I'll go and stay in their hotel every time. But they go in, they trash the place, and then they get a grant to refurb and put back on to public use again. It all smells. It really does. Is Paz rejoining the army because he's got a beard? I think he's probably had his fill, and I know he's done a video about that as well. Bless him. Hopefully, I'm actually going in Paz's direction in the middle of April. I've already spoken to him about a possible meeting. Meeting up, which would be great. Try and get something on camera. If we do that, that'd be good. Sorry, Parliament, Biden, but the people of China aren't my enemy. Politicians forget the Chinese community in Britain also vote as well. They'll only alienate. I think they want us all alienated from each other, Cosmic Auto, because if you look at the way they talk and the way they try and divide, it's like they want us that way, all in our little box. Mr. Mensa costs £144,000 to stand for mayor. That's without any marketing. So an awful lot of money. I remember when I interviewed Howard Wilcox, he said he could not have afforded to do it without the backing of reform. I've got him saying that. So, it is a lot of money. You need sponsorship from somewhere. Hot Tulip, why don't you like Labour, Andy? I have had enough of 14 years of the Conservatives making the rich richer and the poor poorer. Now, my friend Dave, he's been Labour all his life. And every time I say lefty or chastise the Labour Party, he gets very cross. Now, old Labour, the old left, the working person, looking after, hard-working families and all that kind of thing, I've got no problem with whatsoever. New Labour, kind of the Tony Blair era onwards to what we've got today, is what I have the problem with, because there are an awful lot of strange goings on in our society. Strange ways of looking at things that to normal people like you and I, it's completely sad. It's completely mad. And the Labour Party support these things and support a lot of things that appear to be not good for our generation. But the problem is, when you look at the other side, the Conservatives, they're exactly the same. I know I'm always criticising Labour. As somebody said to me, they're two cheeks of the same arse. I believe rather than it being Labour, it's the whole establishment has let us down very badly. And if you go in and vote Labour and get 4 years of them, you will quickly find that this country will be in a worse state because of the influx of individuals and various other things. It's more the establishment that I have the problem with rather than Labour. That's why I'm always banging on about reform. Rishi reports the uni party. It is literally one party of individuals wearing two different coloured ties. It doesn't work anymore. It needs to stop. A bit of a roundabout way, and then there's a lot of disenfranchised folk out there that quite simply won't vote because, like you, they've had enough of the Tories, but they can't be bothered to come out because they feel it won't change anything. And that's where first past the post is actually beneficial to the establishment because they can use that in their favour. Sharpie Staunch, everyone get yourselves to London on the 23rd of April. Let's do it. Absolutely. Well, everyone, we're just over the hour. So that brings us to the end of another daily chat. Not Pip-Boy Gamer, you look like my uncle. I am going to take that as a compliment. I hope it is, because I don't know what your uncle looks like. Tomorrow, we've got more videos coming out, 8 o'clock in the morning. I managed to get 3 done for tomorrow. So look out for them then. With this live, thank you for joining me. Thank you for all of your comments. I hope I got to everybody. Apologies to those of you that didn't. Please make sure to subscribe to the channel if you're watching for the first time. Mum, I'll see you tomorrow, just after 9. Hit the like button because that's what pushes us around everywhere. And share it with your friends and family on your socials. Very much appreciated. So until next time, I'm going to take my disappearing voice and I wish you all good nights and toodaloo.